Hey Stampers, welcome to another week of Watch It Weekly Wednesday. I'm Cindy from Jill Olson's team, and today we're going to feature one of the most beautiful stamp sets I believe is in the new catalog. We are going to play with the Climbing Orchid Stamp Set. I think this one has such elegance and beauty, and it's so striking yet so simple. We'll also be using the special occasions, just because I like one of the sayings, for my friend, because I believe that that's something you can use for any occasion. This is the card that we'll be making today. So we're going to start by putting our fresh fig using our layered leaves embossing folder. We're going to emboss this. This fresh fig is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So we'll go ahead and emboss that. And where it's the thick textured embossing folder, you only have to use one clear plate. I really like the design that this puts on here. So we are going to take our very vanilla cardstock. This one is just a 3/4 inch piece, and we are going to stamp our For My Friend. We're going to stamp it in our new fresh fig color. I love fresh fig. It is just elegant and really classy. So we're going to try to get this one straight and in the middle of our paper without too much stress on this technique, because we'll trim it off if it's not perfect. We'll set this aside for now. We'll get to the good stuff. And the great thing about this stamp set is you can use all of your little tiny scraps that you save. So this is perfect. We'll just go ahead and grab a couple pieces of our very vanilla scraps out of our scrap drawer. So we're going to go ahead and take our Soft Sky ink pad, and we are going to stamp our flower. For this card, we're going to use 2 flowers. So there's that one, and then we're going to do our second layer of our flower, again in Soft Sky. And then we're going to take just another little piece of scrap. It's really awesome for it. We're going to do our little tiny flowers, just little buds. So those little tiny 1/2 inch scraps that you save because you can't get rid of them, this is going to be awesome. Okay, so that's our flower started, and now we're going to switch to our fresh fig ink pad, and we'll do our centers. And for the center, I really like to stamp it off so it's not quite so defined. We'll do 2 of those, and then we're going to do the little tiny piece, and we'll stamp that full strength. Line that up just right there in the center. Line that up really easy. Perfect. The other thing that I really like about this stamp set is that you can use a lot of different framelits all on one run through the Big Shot. It's really easy. So we're going to take our magnetic platform and we'll line up our little pieces. We'll do a couple of these at one time, and then the framelits line up really quick. Okay, so as you can see, we got more than one going through at this one time. So we'll run that through the Big Shot. We'll take our pieces off, and then we'll do it again. So as you can see, if you stamp it just right, you can get a whole flower out of one run. Okay, now that we've got our flower pieces all cut out, we're going to give it a little touch of color using our sponge dauber. I love these little sponge daubers. They're super easy to put on your finger and just go for it. We're going to outline this in fresh fig just to give it a little tiny pop of color. So we'll go around the edges. You don't have to get too close into the center because of how they lie on top of one another, so it's super easy. We just want a little bit of dimension, a little bit of color. I think the orchids are beautiful. When I think of them, I think of like a spa or Asian countries. So I was super excited to work with this set. Now we'll take our little tiny pieces, our little tiny center, and give it a little bit of color around the edges. We've got 2 flowers, so we'll do it twice. And 2 little tiny stems. This also gives you a little bit of a leeway in case your framelit slipped a little bit on your magnet as you ran it through the Big Shot. It's okay. Perfect. Now we have that all set. We are going to stamp our limbs. So we'll set that aside. We'll take another little scrap of very vanilla that we have, and now we're going to use Early Espresso ink. And we'll do 2 straights, and we'll do 1 Y shape. And we'll just, these are super easy to fussy cut out. So we'll go ahead and get those snipped real quick. They don't have to be super exact. We're going to sneak them right underneath our orchid flowers, right under the blossoms. And now comes time for the good part of putting it all together. So we're going to take a very vanilla base that's 8.5 by 5.5. We'll fold that in half to give it a good place to start. And then we're going to take our soft sky, which is 5.25 by 4. We'll adhere that down. There's lots of air in that adhesive. That's weird. Then we're going to take our fresh fig piece that we've run through the embossing, and I like to use my fast fuse on it just because of the texture. The fast fuse gives it a little bit better hold. So remember your checks. Layer that on top. Now for our saying, we're going to do our saying next. We're going to take our 3/4 inch saying. We'll layer on top of a 7/8 inch fresh fig. Getting it straight. And then we'll layer that on top of a 1 1/8 inch of soft sky. Okay, and then we'll set that aside and we'll put together our orchids. So what you're going to want to do is take one that has 2 petals and one that has 3 petals. And I like to use dimensionals. It gives us a little bit of pop. But first, don't forget to give your little petals some life. So we'll bone fold those. Break up those fibers, give it a little bit of curl, a little bit of pop off of the page. Not too much, just enough to give it a little bit of life. Now I found that your regular size dimensionals is perfect to go underneath these layers. So we'll just put one right in the center. And you can kind of see I like the Y to be facing down. And then we'll layer our layer on the top, our petals on the top of it. And then you can put a little bit of snail on the back of your top. Let's put that right in the center. We'll do that again on the second one with your flower Y down. 1 dimensional right in the center. Put your flower leaf right, or your petal right on the top. Put that right there together. Now we're going to move back to our card base. We're going to take our fine tip glue pin for our little pieces that we've cut, our little stems. We'll just give them a little bit of adhesive here on the back side. And lay that down over on the edge, kind of on a diagonal somewhere. We'll put a dimensional on the back side of our orchids. We'll get 2 more dimensionals. We'll just stick that right on our stem. The thing that I really liked about having the stems separated is because then you can just tuck it underneath and it's perfect and there's no having to line it up or stress about where it goes. So we'll do our second one. Just line that up and lay it down. Put us a dimensional. And then for our Y shape, stick that under, lay it down, give it just a second. Then we'll take our little tiny buds. And our little tiny buds are perfect for our new mini size dimensionals. So if you don't have the mini dimensionals, make sure you get those. Those are amazing. No more trimming your dimensionals. So we'll just do 1 on each little bud. Make sure it's facing up so that it's growing right there on the top. Right there on the top. Now it's time for our saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use 2 dimensionals. Put them kind of underneath our sentiment. Peel it off. And then we can decide how diagonal, how much we want it to have showing. So I'm just going to center my saying kind of on the center of my corner of my card, like that. And then I'm just going to flip it over and take a pair of snips and snip off that extra. That way you don't have to stress about how your angles are, if they're perfect for all 3 layers to match up, because they're automatically just gonna work just like that. So for our technique that I want to show you today is we're going to take our fine tip glue pen and we're going to color in the center of our orchids to give them a little bit of shine. So you want to do this the very last and then set your card aside so it has time to dry. So we'll just take our fine tip glue. I just love the attention in that little bit of detail that gives. So that's our technique for today. And you can see that little bit of shimmer that it gives. I think that little detail sure just tops off this card. Now a few other cards I wanted to show you, some other ideas. We have Enjoy Today. This is a saying that comes inside of that stamp set with a little fun fold card. And then this is a card that I saw on Pinterest. I love Pinterest when I am casing a card to get a little feel for how the stamp set works. This is a card that was made by Kay Jones. She's a demonstrator in the UK. And then I found this card that was made by Maui Stamper. So I thought those were 2 fun card ideas to case. If you've fallen in love with the Climbing Orchid Stamp Set, just like I have, make sure to click the link below and order it today. It's one that you have to have. It's beautiful, it's elegant, and it's super simple. Thanks for watching. See you next week.